Hello. How's everybody doing on this lovely Saturday morning, at least in New York? I'm Adam Schoenbar, and you are here for Google Hangout, Google Education on Air, I hope, to learn about engaging students and building community with Google Plus communities. And we have Danny Raskin with us. Hi, Danny. Danny, you're still on mute. That was a fun start, everybody. So, we have Danny Raskin, our moderator for today, who's going to be helping me out. And
no, I'm not on mute. Hi, everyone.
And let's get started. I have the question and answer feature enabled here, so I would love if anyone out there is watching and interested. If you have any questions, jump right on in. Also, Danny and I are both on Twitter, and our Twitter handles are right below our names on the lovely bottom third of the screen. So please reach out, ask questions, let's talk. And so let me tell you about what the plan is for today. Let's see here. So first let me tell you share with you, I have a presentation here which you can all find at this lovely address, goo.gl/cxxn7u. And I'm going to be bouncing back and forth through it, but it's there for a resource for you. We'll use it here today, and it'll be there pretty much forever. There's a lot of activities and tools and information there. So whatever I don't get to within our 30 minutes here today, I want to give you a lot of resources to leave with. So Danny's informing me that her connection's a little slow here. I'm hoping mine is working okay.
Adam, I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm not seeing anything. I don't know if that's an issue with my computer or if anyone else is having that issue. I just wanted to let you know, though.
All right, I'm supposed to be screen sharing the presentation right now, so let me stop this and see if our technical difficulties are real here. Do you see me, Dan?
I don't yet.
Now?
Not yet, but it could just be an issue with my computer.
All right, so 46 viewers. All right, so we just got popular. So I'm gonna trust.
Oh, I see you. Great.
Whoa. All right, lovely viewers. I'm gonna trust you that if there are technical difficulties here, please let us know in the question and answer or on Twitter. I have that open on a side screen, and hopefully we'll move forward here successfully. But now let's get moving here. So I'm going to just briefly give you some information about what's going on here in this presentation today. So once again, goo.gl/cxxn7u. Now I believe that is listed on the information for the conference as well. They gave me a link to put my resources on, so I did that as well. So I'm hoping you're all going to be able to access it there. I'll leave it up for another second. And I am also going to take the link right now. I'm doing it on a side screen, and I am going to throw it into chat. So anyone in our chat here, there you go. So my name is Adam Schoenbar. I'm an English teacher. I'm from Ossining High School, Westchester County, New York, and I'm a Google educator and a Google education trainer. My school is a GATE school with about 1,400 students, an incredible mix of affluent and low income. On the right here, you see the showing cart. That's my Chromebook cart. I'm in a one-to-one Chromebook classroom in a district with all different levels of technology and an incredibly diverse student population. For me, you might know Westchester, New York, white, rich, affluent. Not so much in Ossining. If you know Ossining, it's from Mad Men. It's from Law and Order SVU because they go up the river, they visit the prison. That's Sing Sing. It's out my window. So a little bit about me and my situation. Let me introduce my moderator here, Danny Raskin. That's me and Danny back when I had a really bad goatee and looked like a linebacker.
I think it was a really good look for you, and you might want to consider going back to that.
I'll keep it in mind. I'll see what I can do about that. Well, Danny and I have been friends since we were, how old, Dan?
3 years old.
Sounds about right. And she is a social studies special ed teacher, and I'll let her tell you about herself for a minute here.
Yeah, I'm a social studies special ed teacher in the New York suburbs, and I am also, as Adam has referred to me before, a Chromebook hoarder. My school and my classroom is not one-to-one, but I just kind of like to steal as many Chromebooks as I possibly can. Yeah, so I'm really excited to be here with Adam, and I'm psyched that he's doing this.
Certainly a strategy I approve of, the Chromebook and technology hoarding. So here are my goals for this presentation today. My goals include the following. I want to share strategies with you to use Google Plus communities to engage and empower students, to leverage students' interest and technology, to build classroom community, promote student-centered and active learning, develop 21st century and Common Core skills, and kind of have a conversation here, which I know is the Google Hangout. Is it maybe the most ideal, 50, 60 viewers, maybe a million, maybe we'll be famous, but I love sharing our ideas with you, and I hope to see you guys involved here. So one of the things that we always talk about is with Google community, with any online learning, it's scary at first. Some people are hesitant, some people are new, not everybody's ready, and not everybody's ready for everything, and not everyone needs to be. But I was the person who jumped off the ledge and tried everything. Danny had a little bit of a different experience.
I did. Yeah, my school is a little bit more closed-minded than Adam's school, but he has inspired me to try a lot of new things, especially this year, and I've just learned a lot. I have learned all about today's meet from him, back channeling, which we actually just did a presentation for. So Adam is a wealth of knowledge, and he's more than happy to share all of his information.
So my first piece of advice as we move forward here for anyone who might be hesitant to try any things. I know a lot of schools are not utilizing Google Plus and Google Communities for their students. Now, of course, we're high school teachers, so our students are above 13, so we're able to do so. But if you're in a situation where you have some concerns, hesitant, you're scared, you're new, here's what Danny and I always like to tell people here. Let it go.
Let it go.
There's a lot in our teaching world that we can't control, and I think one of the things that I really like to emphasize is being able to empower the students and step back and facilitate so the students can really take control of their learning. Yes, I'm playing Let It Go on another computer next to this one, so hopefully you can hear that because it is a beautiful thing.
Adam, someone asked, Jane actually asked a really great question. She said, how do we get around school social media policies to use Google+? And I know that's a long and separate conversation that you and I have had many times, but if you want to just jump in and quickly put your thoughts out there, I think that Jane and I would love to hear.
Love it. So as I asked Danny to do, I said I have this presentation and you'll have a copy of it, but I'd love to talk questions and things like that. So how do you get around them? The answer, unfortunately, I think is you don't. You try to change their mind and inspire them and find resources to show your school and administrators and whoever makes those decisions the power of Google Plus and communities and what it could do. But in the end of the day, the policy is the policy, and while we can push for change and inspire change, that I would definitely not recommend going around the policy. Plus, it's not even possible for the most part, because if you're a GHOA school, your school domain, your administrator decides to turn Google Communities on and off. That said, if the concern is, well, you have your school blocks Facebook, Twitter, or other social media, the thing with Google Plus that I think is its strength is the ability to close your community. So I'm going to screen share here and pull up my community, or one of my many communities.
Adam, can I jump in for 1 second before you continue?
Go for it.
So, Jane, my school does not allow Google Plus right now, but it's a conversation that we've had often, and it's something that I'm really fighting for. So if you want to reach out to me on Twitter, I would love to have that conversation with you, and we can hopefully kind of brainstorm some ideas about getting Google Plus open, because the things that Adam are about to show, it's going to blow your mind.
All right, thanks, Dan. So this is one of my communities, and it's for SAT, ACT review, and upperclassmen elective. And one of the things that I'll start off with is there are many ways to organize your communities. This is one where my friend and I, who teach the class together, decided that we have one community with 106 members. And I know it might, I'm not sure how well this is coming through on the screen share, but I hope you can follow along with what I'm showing here. Because this community is for my school's domain, austeningufsd.org right here, it's closed and restricted just to my students. Anything that they post here is only available to these 106 members, who are all students and teachers who I have invited. No one else. No parents, no community members. It is impossible for anyone outside of this domain to join this community. So it is a private, closed place. It is a social network. I fully stand by that. This is a social network for education, or being used for education, but the purpose is educational and the results are incredible. Now, when you turn on Google Communities, you are turning on typically Google Hangouts and chat, although I know they've now isolated those features so you can turn individual ones on and off. But my district, we leave everything open, and it's, I think, one of our biggest strengths. I know obviously every district is different, and you're interpreting policy and law and your comfort level in the way you and your administrators need to, but I think a lot of people are afraid of Google Plus or of communities or of students connecting outside of the school, to which again I'll go back to, and I still have it playing. Can you hear it? I'm hoping you can. I'm going to play this like 8 times, right? Let's see. And, alright. Yeah, I'm not at the right place, but you get the idea. Step back, what's there to be afraid of? The students are going to be communicating outside of school networks all the time, and if we're holding them back and putting a fear into them because of it, then what are we really teaching them? Now again, that's my perspective at high school and how my school views it, but back to the core question here, the social media policies are what they are, and I think we show them what it could do, which I'm going to share with you, and I think a lot of people will start to come around, and I think we're kind of on that peak soon. So here's my community for SAT, ACT review. And the community works just like a social media feed, similar to a Facebook page, in where you make a new post, and I can embed a photo, upload it, a Google Plus photo, I can put a link in, I could put a video in. If I put a video in and put a YouTube link, it will embed all this media and content automatically. So here are my students. Just the other day, we read an article about Future Ready and from former Secretary of Education, Margaret Spellings, and they responded, and they interacted, and they discussed. So you see here students post and comment on each other's work. Nice and simple, kind of a back-channeling avenue, formative assessment, but the real potential of communities is the way that it engages students and can engage multiple levels of content and media. So here I've embedded a Google form to start the lesson, my presentation, and an article for them to read all in one location. Everything that you put a link to will automatically embed in kind of a user-friendly way, and any videos that you put on your communities, any images, any links, it's meaningful in the way that it's integrated to the community. It engages the social media that the kids already use, and it's so easy to turn it to an important place for learning. Google Plus allows you to make polls on communities. Here my students are making SAT sentence completions. Let's see, my cousin was being, I don't think this is a very good question. The answer was yay, I think. I think I got it right. Look at that. I can see which students did what here and how their answers were and how these questions are. So this is one of my many communities, and here we kind of have seen 2 different types of responses so far. And I want to go back to some of the basics before we move forward here. What is Google+? So Google says it's more than a social network, and it is, but these days, as many of you might know, Google+ is not really Google+ anymore, but we still have communities. And it's an authorship tool, according to Google, and I really support that idea. And the Google community is a group or page that lets you connect. And again, my connections in my school are class-based. I have communities for each of my class sections or my classes as a whole, or some clubs and other groups within the school, and they are the best tool for me. So
Adam,
right here,
I don't see the presentation, just so you know. I'm looking at the community right now.
Yep, I forgot to switch my my. Hey,
Oh, I'm
I'm
back.
back. Ooh, that was scary. Okay, sorry, I hit the wrong button and that went bad. All right, I got scared there. So, all right, I'm showing you my. I'm switching back here and go back to the presentation. So this is a student, Annie. I encourage you to take a look at what she says, and I'm not going to be able to play it for you here because the audio and video playing through the Google Hangout won't work so well. But if you have the link open, I strongly encourage you to take a look at what a couple student responses here and how they feel about communities. So to start a community, right, all you need is your Google Plus account, which again, if you're on a school domain, has to be enabled by your district. Many schools let you sign up for one with a teacher account, and it's a great source of professional development. Right over here, I have a bunch of links to communities that you might want to take a look at for your own professional development, and you can follow along here the directions to create one. It's so easy, and I'd be happy to talk to you more about that. But in the time we have remaining, I want to get into the good stuff. So, Common Core standards. Now this is not the good stuff, but for many of our administrators, many of our schools, this is what we need to be able to argue. And the examples I'm going to show you in the next 15 minutes embrace the standards in terms of close reading, interpretation, integrating and evaluating content. And these are just a few of the standards that I pulled in that I think the communities can really help meet. So when we're talking about social media policies, well, one way to combat administrative decisions and try to push for what you think is best, back it up with the standards, back it up with the learning. Writing arguments, producing clear and coherent writing, using technology, drawing evidence. So it's my assertion that through Google Plus communities, students build a real classroom community, collaborate, discuss, and engage in a blended classroom, and both class content and life outside of the 41 minutes. My class has changed tremendously and will never be the same. All students are now held accountable through their participation, discussion, and communication, both in class and online. All right, so here are some examples. Everything coming through clear now on the screen share, Dan?
Yep, you got it.
All right, lovely. Feel free to jump in or let me know if there's any questions.
Okay.
So, here are just some screenshots from communities over the past year. Top left corner. What would you say the difference between further and farther is? This kid just decided, let me ask a question. Back here, Brianna, period 6 is still the reigning champ. They had a contest in class on June 16th. She comments about it. All hail period 6. I'll miss you all. I'm getting published, Milani shares with us. That's exciting. Evan says, just holding on to what's left of the past, RIP junior year. Look at the date there, people. What's all this have in common? Any idea, Danny?
Well, actually, Alyssa, just brought up a really good question that is kind of along the lines of what you were just talking about. She said, how do you promote positive work and life balance for students and for ourselves? And she's concerned, as I think a lot of people are, that you need to help the students and us maintain a positive balance between work and their free time with the availability of social media and all this connectivity. So what advice would you give to Alyssa and everyone wondering that same question?
All right, let me think about that for a second. I think so much of this is about balance, and I think it's a good question. I think that the students are so engaged in the media on their own that if they're not using it for our class, it doesn't mean they're not using it. And I like to then be able to take that and engage that and leverage that technology and social media for the classroom. I think for the kids, it's less about balance because for the most part, and my student population, the technology is a part of their lives, and I want to be able to take advantage of that. Balance for the teacher, though, that's a different story because the things that I do on the community and the work on the community, it takes a lot of effort to maintain, and it takes a lot of effort to build that positive digital citizenship with it. And I think for me, the key is Modeling, building time in your curriculum to teach these skills and model them and apply them, practice them, and give feedback, both as the teacher and the student. Hold them to high standards and let them have fun. That for me, what I was going to say everything has in common there was none of it was about school. These were students who wanted to share with their peers and wanted to share with their teachers, and because we use the community in a way to allow students to share and do more than schoolwork, it really builds a positive learning environment for them that we can then build and engage off of. That said, the balance is important. How much do you do online versus how much do you do in a notebook or by hand or in person? For me, I'm in a high school with a lot of technology. I don't accept paper. My work is done online, but that's my choice in my environment. I don't think there's one right answer, and I also think that the things that I want to show you and hope you appreciate and can take away from are things that we can take any one example of. You don't need to do it all, and it's really finding what works best for you in your world. Danny, you want to add anything, or?
I think that your answer was perfect, actually. I think that the students are so immersed in technology, and it is their whole world, so we need to approach them in a way that they understand, in a way that they know. I don't honestly, and now I want to ask my students, but I wonder if they realize that they need to find a balance in terms of their time online and their time not online. I know that I've spoken to my students before about going outside and playing and being a kid and having fun, but so many of them, when I ask them, what are your hobbies, they'll tell me, oh, I like to sit and text. And I'm like, that's not a hobby. But I think that we need to train them and kind of teach them how to use these tools in a way that's going to be productive.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that I like to do, and I'll show you some examples of, two things. That first of all, for me, I view the community as a place for formative learning and growth. Sharing, collaboration, not everything is long, not everything is involved. It could be post a picture, post a video, write 3 sentences, answer the poll, or it could be write a paragraph, or it could be pure edit. It sometimes is more, but often it's quick, short responses, and that's what leads to that balance. The other thing is I had another thing, and hopefully it will come back to me.
I have something in the meantime. I just wanted to add to our last question. I know there's not really a way around not being able to get on Google Communities, but at the beginning of the year when I realized I didn't have that, and the one thing I did have was Google Classroom. It's definitely not a substitute by any means, but you can use it in the same way that you would use Communities, but the format and the workflow looks different. It definitely feels different. It doesn't have the same capabilities, but that is kind of a workaround that you could always use if you really did want to do some of the things that Adam is showing.
Absolutely. Google Communities for me is the best place for the way I organize my class for formative learning. I also use Google Classroom for all formal and summative assignments. I look at Classroom as being great for students to turn in work to me, but that's about it right now, and for me to give feedback. The community is where all the growth happens in my world. Before we move forward, 132 viewers, Danny. I expected this to be me and Danny, and we share the link after. People are tweeting, and this is really, really cool. So thank you guys.
Yeah, this is awesome. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming to hang out with us. This is so cool.
Did not know how this was going to go, but I've been so far so good. So let me show you a couple more examples here. And Danny kind of hit the nail on the head here. There are many, many ways to do this, and do this well, and do this in a way that's meaningful and productive for you. Whether it's a Google Community, Google Classroom, or anything else is one of those decisions that's up to you and your availability in your district and your choices, but still, we're all teaching digital citizenship. We're all modeling this kind of growth. All right, so one thing we do is we'll have kids take selfies at school events. It builds community. A lot of what I'm talking about here is building community, building digital citizenship, letting kids share and grow. I tried to get my kids to come up with a hashtag for my class. It didn't work. We just weren't creative this year. That's one of my biggest goals. Elliot makes a poll. I did not ask him to. I did not do this. He did this. My students voted on a hashtag for my class. The other day I made a poll for class, and then I look at my community, and Elliot's made another poll. Who makes better polls, Elliot or Mr. Schoenbar? Everybody voted for Elliot. Cassidy wants to sell her cookies to raise money for the basketball team. Post it on the community. Janet asks if Ellie Wiesel might have regretted ever writing night. I never asked this question. It's a great question. She did it on her own, and look at my kids commenting. This one blew my mind. So, Not much of this is about learning yet, but it's about building community and growth. And what do you do next? So, here's why I love teaching with communities. Communities lead to meaningful student interaction and engagement, active creation of learning and content. I'm big on students creating content. They build community and promote digital citizenship. They authentically integrate digital literacy and cultural capital in a way that no other tool does, in my experience, that students can pick up on in the same way. And they provide so many opportunities for feedback and collaboration. And for me, this is why communities are transformative and better than any other tool I've found. Some challenges, like some of you have mentioned, teaching the technology to students and for yourself, teaching and modeling digital citizenship, moderating appropriate content, and one thing I always go back to is always make sure you're using technology with purpose. The tech is not the lesson, it's not the plan, it's not the goal, it's a tool to get there. So,
you made a really good point.
Thank you. One quick thing I'll mention here is it doesn't always go well. Everybody is miserable. Baco Rebellion. Baco is the hashtag for my coworker's class. The Baco Rebellion of 2013. I quit this class. Rob then posts. Rob's the great kid who would post like this. Everybody, let's all calm down about how hard this project is and enjoy this exceptional Google Plus post by Matthew McConaughey. Breaking the tension there. Ellie, this got nasty fast. For some reason, you guys are acting like it's the first time group members have skipped out on their share of a project. The kids are moderating each other. The teachers didn't do this. The kids did. Not everybody's going to do the work. Not everybody's going to agree. Not everybody's going to be engaged in the same way. But building this community, and of course this is a great example of kids being true digital citizens and promoting positive behavior, and it's the peer pressure of showing that great behavior and modeling it. And here's what the teacher did. Katie then gave a survey to show the students how to give appropriate feedback about their ideas about work. Right here, what a teachable moment that the community has helped engage and shown the growth of students. With the community, I teach less and teach with the asterisk in bold there. Of course I teach, but my teaching has changed. I lecture rarely, and I work better, not harder. My students collaborate, research, investigate, write, and share for each other, for the community, and for authentic audiences. And I'm going to give you some concrete examples here. Here are the reasons I use the communities. And on the left, I have my reasons. I want them to build knowledge. Then I've got my administrative reasons. Your boss wants to see that lesson plan. Well, you want to assess prior knowledge. You have your anticipatory set. You want active engagement. You don't want to lecture. You want to promote student inquiry and curation. You want to do linguistic turn-taking, think, pair, shares. Provide all kids with copies of class notes. Make up work for absent kids. Show your lesson plans, your presentations, and I'll, of course, add creation of content here. On the one side, I've got my terms my boss likes to see in my lesson plan. On the left, I've got the general terms there. This is when I use the community. These are my purposes. So,
Adam, the one thing that you said to me when you were first describing communities that has always stuck with me is that it's a living, breathing archive of everything that you have done in your class. And I think that that's a really important point to make, because you can see the progress and the growth that the students have had throughout the whole year in this community, which I think is really powerful.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dan. And not only is that great, what else is great is that I can see the growth throughout a year, and then I could go back next year. I never delete my communities, so I can. It's in a sense, it's my lesson plans. I could go back and I could see what we did and when and the pace and how students did. I always have their work. It's never a time where I'm like, oh, I wish I had a model of this work a year later. I always have everything. The students always have everything. I need to get in touch with students a year or two later. I message them on the community, and they respond, and that connection is incredible. Just to put that in perspective, I'm going to switch here to my English 10 Period 6 community, because you guys can see you guys can follow along on the presentation on your own if you'd like to, but the community is closed to my students, so you can only see it with me. So I'm just going to scroll through. Here are my students' presentations that they did on Greek mythology background for Antigone. Now, they were only visual presentations, so the students actually had to know their stuff and teach us and tell the stories behind their topics, and I actually recorded these on Periscope and on Hangouts on Air for class notes. Notice this is a published presentation. I've taught the students how to publish them, and they embed it on the community, playable just like a video. Scrolling down, more of these. Student posts for a classwork assignment about the law. Danny reminds me that I have 30 seconds, but the organizers did say if we run a little late, it's okay. So we'll go for another minute or two here. They had to embed a source into their argument about law versus family, which is more important. So automatically embedding. Here's the poll that I asked them to do as closure for my lesson. Students went in the Google Doc and planned their argument. Then they actually filmed it on Periscope. Here are book review projects my students did.
Adam, how easy is it to, I'm just going back to the very beginning, but how easy is it to set up the community and teach your students how to use it? Like, what is the learning curve on that? How long did it take them until they really felt comfortable using all of this?
Setting up the community, if you see here, you click all communities and there'll be a create button right here. It's literally a 5-minute process, even if you're confused. It's very, very streamlined and simple. The two things in terms of joining the community and getting it started in class that I'll say is, one, in my school with some bandwidth issues sometimes, the kids don't always get the invitations right away. I encourage you, if you're going to create communities for your students, first of all, start one per class section. It'll make your life easier. It'll make it more manageable. It'll make it easier when you have work that you want one class to see before another. Secondly, I would recommend making your communities private but listed, meaning that anyone in your domain can ask to join. Because I'll normally give a Google form and get all my students' email addresses, drop their names in to invite them to the community, and it doesn't always work right away. So letting them be able to search for it, ask to join. You still have the privacy because you have to approve it, but they can then join. Within one class period, I usually have 90% of my kids in the community. When there are technical difficulties, it might take an extra day or two, but then the learning curve in engaging them on the community is not very, it's not very time consuming, honestly, because it works just like Facebook, just like Twitter, just like Instagram in a lot of ways. So most kids have that familiarity. The first assignment I always do is, what's a movie you saw this summer or a book you read? Go find an article, a movie trailer, or a picture. And I show them how to. I'm
sorry to interrupt you. Alyssa just made another comment or asked another great question, and it goes with what you were just saying. She said, could you share the first few posts that you added to the community to create such a positive environment? So do you think you could show us that?
I would be happy to, and I'll scroll through. My one caveat here is we do so much on the community, it's going to take a minute or two to scroll through, but I'm more than happy to. I think that's a great idea so you can see the range of things that we did. So I let them post all kinds of things on their own. Pretty much the way I view it is, it doesn't need to be meaningful for class right that second, but it needs to be something that is authentic, you're passionate about, and is not inappropriate. And so I have kids who see a good movie or read a good book and post about it, and or read an article and will give us a link. So you guys see me scrolling through pretty quickly here, but so all this scrolling, everything you've seen, I am only on March.
So, Adam, you might want to consider doing a blog post on this where you show some of the beginning, like first posts of the community if it takes you too long to do this, because I think that's something that a lot of people could get a lot of information from and would be really valuable to a lot of the viewers.
That is a great idea. I will put that on my list. So you see here, kids taking selfies with books for a book review project, showing me they have their books and that they are prepared for approval. Presentations, discussion. The community is a great place for discussion. As I'm scrolling through and wrapping up here, I'll give you some last couple ideas. The plus feature. All right, I love Taylor Swift. My kids know it. Why are we listening to Taylor Swift in class? Danny and I might be seeing her in concert this year. It won't be our first time.
Yes.
The plus feature. Students love getting that plus. They love getting comments. You could tag students authentically, and they get an email and the bell notification showing that they've been tagged. All right, I'm still scrolling through. Where am I? I am in November. All right, I'm getting closer. I think we could do this.
We're almost there.
Short paragraph responses, interaction. Here, right here is my hashtag poll I showed you earlier. Students are using my community in class or at home almost, I'm not going to say every day, but multiple times a week. It's really the place where my class lives, breathes, and grows.
Adam, how do you communities working, or do you not see them working in a classroom that is not one-to-one?
I definitely recommend finding yourself a computer lab or a car, getting them on the technology to teach them at first and model it and give them those first couple assignments. But once you build the skills, I really do think it will work outside of the classroom. But it's up to the students. It's up to you to know your students. Do they have access outside of school? And can you build that relationship, and do you have the right student body that will engage on their own? That I absolutely firmly believe that if you hold them to high expectations, model it, and give them time to practice and accept that there's a learning curve here, students can do this on their own. That I'll do my class lessons and we'll read, and I'll have my students posting weekly assignments on the community just for homework with nothing in class. I think in class obviously makes it more authentic and meaningful, and it helps engage them more. But it's not, you got to do what you got to do, and I don't see that being a deal breaker here. All right, here are my first posts. I think I told the kids, just go post. You say, hello class, time to learn. I asked them to go post their movie trailer. I showed them how, and I commented. All right, I like the first Star Trek better, but I like this one too. What did you read? What did you watch? That's always my very first post because it's easy, it's quick, it's fun. Then I talk to them about it. I walk around the room and I talk to them. Oh, I saw you posted this online. Why do you like it? My next assignment, we read a short story called The Bet. I had students write a brief letter to a character from another character. Short, quick, simple. This is just click in the box and type. It did not involve a lot of technology use, integration. It was not high level. Start with the easy stuff to build the comfort and build the learning and build the community, so then you can leverage it for the more engaging things. I also have all of my class resources here and it's authentically timed through when it's needed. So here's all my writing about the bet, here's my story, here's my presentation for the bet, and so on. So all of my resources along with all my students' notes and ideas and work is here. Azad, is there any work, Mr. Schoenbar? He was absent. Eliana responded, I didn't mean to. My students are interacting, engaging, and learning together. I am the facilitator, and I can step back and really watch them grow. So there are many other resources in the presentation, but now we're 7 minutes over, and I don't know if that's a problem. And our numbers have doubled, and this is freaking awesome.
Cool!
Why don't if there are any last questions, I'm happy to talk for a minute more. I feel like I can't really get in trouble here, so why not? I just pulled up the Q&A here.
There's a lot of people also tweeting about this, so yeah, definitely feel free to tweet at us now or after the presentation. Ask any questions that you have. Let's continue the conversation once this is over. Absolutely. So Danny and I can both be found on Twitter at Mr. Schoenbart, and Danny at Miss Raskin. So they're on our, oh, mine disappeared when I lost my connection, but it's on the presentation, and feel free to follow on Twitter, ask more questions, and let's keep the conversation going. Like Danny said, I will definitely start blogging about Google+. It was kind of my focus on most of my presentations because people aren't using it, and they should be. From my perspective, it's the most powerful tool that we're not using, and the potential that it's the one tool that I've really seen it being able to transform learning and growth in my classroom unlike anything in my experience. So I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found something that you could pull from here and make use of in your own classroom. Again, all right, thank you. Enjoy the rest of Google on Air, EDU on Air. This is awesome.